Batwoman is back once again after its mid-season break. We have returned now to Batwoman Season 3 with Episode 8. Of course, we also just got the return of Legend Tomorrow. And you may have noticed how I'm a little late on this video. That's just because we got 3 episodes of Peacemaker yesterday. So next week when we get back to a regular schedule of like 1 episode of Peacemaker, 1 Legends, and 1 Batwoman, then I should be able to get them all out in the same day. But then again, things come up, so we'll see. But for now, guys, Batwoman is back, and, it's been a while. It has definitely been a while. I think it was like November, December when we had our last episode of Batwoman Season 3. So I'm excited to get back into this. This is a really compelling, fun episode with some really interesting stuff set up here, of course, with Poison Ivy. Finally getting to see the real Poison Ivy. There's just a lot to love in this episode. Overall, Batwoman Season 3 has been definitely the best season. And just like a good season overall. I've been really enjoying it. I'm really excited to see where things go as we edge towards the end of the season. But guys, of course, spoiler warning, if you've not seen the episode, go check it out for yourself. It's a really solid episode. But we're going to go and spoil it now. So let's jump into this breakdown. Batwoman Season 3, Episode 8. So the episode starts with Bridget Regan's Poison Ivy, the original, real Poison Ivy. We finally get to see her in the flesh. It's a flashback. We actually get a couple different flashbacks with Poison Ivy in this episode. And it's basically all these flashbacks are showing her relationship with Renee Montoya. And in this first scene, you can see how she's kind of starting to show her villainous side and, killing some of Renee's GCPD friends. And in present day, Renee is actually working with Batwoman and the Bat Team, and she actually finds out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. She had no idea, so that was pretty cool to see. But we also have another thing that was set up in the last episode, which I did not do a video on, so sorry about that. But our new Joker with Marquis, of course, Ryan's brother, son of Jada Jet, and yeah, so he's going to be the new Joker on the show, which, when that was first revealed, I was like, what are they doing? That sounds like a terrible idea. But actually seeing it and seeing him in action in this episode, he did seem very Joker-like. And I actually really like it. It makes sense with his story, like when we first found out those story beats of how he is basically insane, and like how the Joker actually like attacked his bus on a school field trip and like did that joint buzzer on his head and everything. I thought that was really interesting, and that got me really excited. And now to see that he's actually basically becoming the new Joker of Gotham City, I think is really cool. And in this episode, he actually throws a masquerade party where Ryan, Luke, Sophie all infiltrate this party so that they can gain access to the Batcave. Because, of course, also in last episode, Marcus took over of Wayne Enterprises. But this party is where we really get to see Marcus in action as a very Joker-like character. You can see he's kind of acting as almost like a game show host. And like whenever people get the answer wrong, I'm not sure if he actually killed them or just like, he electrocuted them. I'm not sure if they're dead or if they're just slightly injured for now. But still, it's very psychotic and not sane, but that's not what the Joker is. So I'm loving it. I'm really liking what we were getting so far, especially like his outfits and stuff. He's got the purple hair, which is interesting. It's definitely a very different version of the Joker, but it still is a version of the Joker nonetheless, and I'm really interested to see how this one plays out. Now, we don't get too much else of him in this episode, though, because he ends up getting dehydrated, as we see with the Poison Ivy stuff, because then we get another flashback with Poison Ivy, and this one is, again, really focusing on her romance with Renee. And Poison Ivy, I actually like her outfit. At first I thought it was a little weird, but then I actually realized that it is actually comics accurate. Well, I don't know if it's comics accurate, but it is accurate to the Arkham Knight games. I think it looks almost exactly the same. So I love that accuracy and that connection that's going on here. But also just this scene is great because you can see the conflict between these two characters, because you can see the love that Renee has for Pamela Isley, but also like the horror and like all the stuff that she knows that Pam is doing that's wrong. Like she literally wants to flood Gotham City. So she decides to stand up for what's right, and she ends up stabbing Pam with something that basically dries her out and dehydrates her. And that's how she is actually defeated here. And that's why she was able to be basically defeated by Batman and buried away all these years now. Which, speaking of that, present day, we find out that Poison Ivy was actually buried beneath the Batcave. So Ryan, Sophie, and Renee, they all get into the Batcave and they start digging, go down, 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 and find the dehydrated, dried up body of Pamela Isley, Poison Ivy. So Ryan ejects the stuff out of her that they wanted to use for a cure for Mary and do that whole serum thing. But Ryan goes back up to the party to deal with Mary, who has now arrived. We get a couple different scenes here in this episode with Mary. I'm still really loving her relationship and her chemistry with Alice, even though we don't get too much of it in this episode. So Ryan goes off to do that. Sophie goes off to do some other investigating. So it's just Renee left alone in the Batcave with Poison Ivy. It was so obvious. It was such a huge mistake to leave her in there alone with her. But exactly what we thought would happen does happen, as, well, not exactly in the way I thought it would, because actually a flower starts blossoming down there, and this is the same flower that kind of served as almost like a symbol of their love in that second flashback, and that's, of course, when Renee is like, oh, can you hear me? Like, are you there? So she kisses her, and then all of a sudden, Pam's eyes open, and Poison Ivy is alive. She is back, and she's getting back into the full swing of things. Meanwhile, we have also the big reveal where Sophie and Ryan discover that Renee lied to them just so that she could get to Pam. And then when you pan back to that Batcave area, Poison Ivy is gone. So she is now out there on the loose, and this is of course setting up for some big things in the rest of the season. And just watching the promo for next week's episode, it looks like it's going to be another great one. Not only getting to see Poison Ivy more in action here, trying to get her powers back and all that stuff, and seeing if she and Renee rekindle their flame and their romance there. Also seeing that we're going to be getting Mary meeting Poison Ivy. I think that's going to be great as well. So there's a lot to look forward to. Again, I think this is a great season of Batwoman so far, and I'm really liking everything that's being set up here with Poison Ivy, and also with Marcus as the new Joker. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this brand new episode of Batwoman Season 3? What do you think about all the Poison Ivy stuff, the new Joker, and everything else going on in Batwoman Season 3? So anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I keep you up to date on everything